Wait, not yet. Go.
Hello, listeners. This is another episode of the UNSECURITY podcast. My name is Brad Nye. This is episode 73, and today is March 30th, 2020. Joining me is my co-host, Evan Francine. Good morning, Evan.
Good morning, Brad.
How are you today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, I think.
Yeah. If they post the video of this, you can see our backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Also joining us for the
and
show.
The bags under my eyes, man.
Yeah. Lack of sleep and everything. Joining us today is our special guest and our Director of Technical Solutions and Services, Oscar Minks. Good morning, Oscar.
Hey, good morning, Brad.
I like Evan's note. You're saying something in your cool Southern accent.
I'll try my best all day. It's the only one I have, so hopefully it works.
There you go.
Yeah, say the word device.
Device.
Yeah, see?
Oh, man. So we got lots to talk about, but as is custom, we're going to get started by catching up real quick. So how was everyone's week last week? This has been a little bit crazy in that, like, we've seen each other on video, but yeah, haven't seen anyone.
It's weird, man. It's for sure. It's what is this day? I don't know how many days it is now, but it's been a couple weeks. It's weird.
So, yeah, we closed the office, physically closed it on the 17th at the end of the day. I left mid-morning that day, so it's coming up on 2 weeks. Actually, I had to go in on Friday and pick up a couple things that I was like, oh yeah, I need those things. It's gonna be a while.
So you came into the office on Friday?
Yep, I was in and out real quick. You were on a video call, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been coming into the office every day, by myself and sort of on purpose. One thing is it's a great place just to zone out and get my work done. But then secondly, it's a good physical security thing, right? I kind of check the place out, every morning when I come in just to make sure, all the windows are still intact and doors are still locked and all that kind of stuff.
It's funny. Those are the little things that I think kind of get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And, the chaos of everybody working remote and trying to figure that out is, how do you maintain security of the building?
Yeah. Now, Oscar, how about you? How big of a change has this been for you?
It's actually hasn't been a lot different for me. I've been working from home for roughly 10 years and or a little longer than that. And we live outside of the city. So a lot of my day-to-day is still the same. I'm still interacting with coworkers the same way I typically would. The biggest change for me has just been the stress of, the news outlets and the media and the realization of what's going on. And then more so seeing some of my coworkers, like having distress right now, because I can tell people are getting a little stir crazy already, maybe a little bit of cabin fever already as we go into the third week here of kind of self-isolating. But my day-to-day has stayed pretty good. Try to keep it as normal as I can.
Like I said,
in Kentucky, are you also shelter in place?
Yeah, we are shelter in place. It's kind of funny. You guys were talking about how long this started. For me, I can remember very distinctly. I was in Minnesota, right, earlier in March. I got home on Friday the 13th, and that's when it felt like everything was real. As we come home, and that was when our governor started putting things in place for shelter in motion. So he started asking people to social distance, and we started closing down the restaurants a couple days later, and then everything kept progressing day by day. And last weekend, one of my favorite things to do, as you guys may know, is to hit the woods, go to the National Forest, the Red River Gorge. It's kind of my weekend sanctuary. And they actually shut down all of our national forests. The trails are closed in the Red River Gorge. And so this weekend, it kind of I felt the impact a little bit more because now it's, impacting my daily life. But yeah, it's been a strange ride for sure.
Yeah, it's well, I was going to say one of the things that I think you and some of the other remote workers have commented on is we are all using video now. So you guys are enjoying that a little bit more. So there's a positive out of this.
Yeah, we do get to see each other's faces a little bit more than we typically would. Before we would do FaceTime Fridays on the tech team, but now we're getting a lot more FaceTime Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays in. So that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. Last week, I went out Sunday, like the whatever 22nd, to get some groceries and stuff, and then I didn't go out of the house other than like walks around the neighborhood until Friday when I went to the office to pick stuff up. I was, yeah, you get a little stir crazy. The kids are definitely starting to feel it a little bit. We ended up buying like 8 different like board games and stuff just to give them something to do.
Yeah.
Right? I'll get them off of electronics. It's been kind of rainy and cold, so.
I
But
got chickens.
yeah, I saw that video.
You got chickens?
I got chickens.
Nice.
Yeah, that happened on Friday. So
How many?
3.
Cool.
Yeah. I was sort of against it, but after this weekend, Saturday, I didn't. I was in a funk Saturday morning, man. I don't know what it was. My wife kept asking me, what's going on? What's bugging you? And I'm like, I can't put a finger on it. I just couldn't. I just felt off, and it took a couple hours to kind of break out of that. But it was nice to have these, kind of chickens because they're cute. You kind of play with them a little bit and get your mind off of all the crap going on in the world. We were just talking before the show started how it's really hard to get away from the news. I mean, you get bombarded everywhere. Like everywhere you go online, you go on Twitter and people are tweeting stuff. You go on Facebook and people are Facebooking stuff. You go, I mean, everywhere, right? It'd be nice just to get away from it for a while. So, we went for a walk yesterday afternoon, which was really cool. I took some pictures of our small town or city. There wasn't anybody. The streets are completely empty. It's just so weird.
Yeah, we've been doing the last 2 weeks. Saturday night, we order and pick up from one of the local restaurants here, just to support them. That's a new thing for us, that we typically wouldn't do. But yeah, it's funny the changes that everybody's going through.
Yeah.
All right, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple things. You did post a link, the COVID-19 Protecting Your Family by Dr. Dave Price. That was actually from Vinay. She sent that out. That's where I got that from, but it was.
You should have taken credit for it, man. I was giving it to you.
I know, but it was good. My wife is a nurse, and she watched it and agrees. That's kind of funny. Wash your hands and don't touch your face, and realistically, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Socially distance or physically distance, I guess, is the new terminology.
So touching your face, does that mean I can't like caress my beard?
Oh, it's driving me insane.
So if I wash my hands, can I touch my beard then?
Yes.
Well, your beard could already be carrying germs, so if you're going to sanitize your hands, you should sanitize your beard too.
You got to wash. Yeah, I got to shampoo the beard.
I was just noticing we got some sweet beards here.
Good looking beards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've wondered if the pandemic is going to have an impact on the number of people that have beards because of what Brad's saying here. If your beard carries germs, so we're going to see more people start trimming these beards now. And then
a lot of doctors that had beards or healthcare have shaved because the N95 masks don't fit correctly over a beard.
Yeah.
I will die before I lose this beard.
So I will die with my beard.
I figure, don't touch the beard if we go out. I don't, I have Clorox wipes in the car. So, I'll go shopping, do the cart wipes, and then don't touch anything. Unload the groceries, get the Clorox wipes out, wipe down everything I touched, and then I'm okay.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I've been keeping a big bottle of isopropyl just in my truck. A spray bottle, so if I have to buy anything or go in somewhere, spray my hands and move on.
There you go.
I found out when Walgreens in my town, when the truck comes, I talk to the manager, they'll tell me, hey, when does the truck come on Saturdays? Because I want to be here when it gets here. So now I get my toilet paper, my hand sanitizer, and the wipes right off the truck.
There you go.
I'm not too far from you. Maybe I'll have to come out there. I think we're running low on wipes.
Yeah, for 45 cents, I'll tell you when it is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. It's been interesting. So I think, we've talked a bit about COVID-19 and what its effect is on our personal lives, but from a professional, experience, what are some of the effects that we're seeing? Incident response, physical security being probably the biggest two.
Yeah.
Oscar, you're more in the weeds with our IR team at this point than I am, which thank you. What are you guys seeing over there from customers? Has this come? Are we seeing anything directly related to it, or phishing attacks? What's going on?
Yeah, so definitely seeing the frequency of incidents increase already. And I think that's a combination of multiple things right now, right? When we look at, first of all, the shift to home. And there's so many businesses before that, were reliant on in-office work, and now they're making this dramatic shift. And in doing so, they're inadvertently opening themselves up for more attacks, right? So maybe their network wasn't properly designed to be able to, accept remote workers. So they're making quick changes and implementing VPNs and policies and things to try to make remote working a possibility. But because of that, we're inadvertently seeing things being open they didn't know should be exposed and so on. Then I think the biggest thing right now is just the, increase in fear mongering and tactics surrounding COVID-19 when they're targeting people for social engineering. We've seen like statistics already since COVID started. I think Google put out an article last week saying that we've seen a 300% rise in malicious domains. And specifically, most of those domains had words associated to the pandemic, right? COVID or Corona or something like that. And so these malicious domains are being stood up to target people. And a lot of it, is fear, but it's also just playing on the human mind and the fact that, hey, everybody wants to know what their work at home policy is going to be within their company, or everyone wants to know like what the stimulus package is going to be and how it's going to affect them. Everyone's concerned about masks, right? And we're seeing some of these fish target those things, right? So they're saying, hey, if you want some masks, here's a link, get this mask, or here's your new policy regarding your work at home, or here's your new benefits update, things like that. And so they're just using that as another means to continue to, distribute the same malware and junk that we've been seeing before. But I can say in the incidents that we've been working since this is going on, once we're able to eradicate the foothold inside the network, we're seeing those attackers just shift and target the end users at a higher occurrence rate than we've seen before. Because I think the psyche of human is just a little bit more susceptible right now because we all have some fear with what's going on. And we're seeing that fear being exploited constantly.
Yeah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm. Sure
Yeah,
does.
with the the stimulus checks and all that, that's going to be a huge one for personally. I think, well, I had to let my mom know, right? Hey, they're not going to send you anything asking for information, right? It's just going to come. Don't enter information. And oh, good.
I've seen one that was targeting people saying there's a mandatory test. You have to click this link to sign up for your mandatory COVID test. And you think about like age demographics and, people that may not understand things like we understand that can see that. And, think, oh, I have to click this. I have to do this. This is mandatory. I'm afraid if I don't, that something bad will happen to me. We're seeing a lot of those motives or narratives, right? And the pretext shift to those things that just initiate fear within people who are already afraid today.
Yeah.
Because the older generations are the ones that are the most at risk, right? So they would be the ones that are also prime targets because they're typically not as savvy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gen Xers. We gotta carry the water for everyone here. I think we all qualify for that, right?
I don't know, what's Gen X?
Isn't it like
80 or 1980? Is that it, Brad, or before?
yeah, 1965 to 1980, something like that?
All right, so I'm a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
I learned something today. This is awesome.
I missed it by a thin margin, but
You're
close enough. Yeah.
Are you too young?
Yeah, a little too young.
God, young kids these days.
right.
So we've seen,
Out the clouds.
right? So I've seen myself in my own inbox. I've seen, some phishing attacks that are unique. So I think we've seen an increase in phishing attacks. It seems like you already, kind of mentioned it, targeting people with the checks that are coming,
Mm-hmm.
right? Trying to get people to, give out bank account information or, usernames, passwords that way. Also seen attacks against authentication, it seems like, because we've pushed more and more people quickly to work from home.
Yep.
And maybe some of those people didn't get set up with multi-factor authentication, or maybe it got in the way. So they just kind of disabled it maybe. Have you seen increased attacks on Zoom and web conferencing? So
We have seen some drive-bys on Zoom.
Yeah,
Where it
Zoom
looks like-
bombing.
yeah, people are just cruising Zooms, trying to find live meetings. And I think the idea there, right, is to hopefully find a meeting that's still running that may have contained information that was private, that the host was unaware of. But yeah, last week we've seen a bunch of drive-bys on that.
Yeah, there's a big article with all the schools that are and colleges that are now using it.
Mm-hmm.
People are jumping in and posting, hateful, racist, profanity to try and just disrupt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now this week, for my kids and I don't know, Brad, if your kids are going back to school.
No, not till next week.
Okay. Because my daughter, she's using Zoom, so I just kind of wonder, how that's all going to sort of shake out, with security.
My kids have done, they have optional things. They've done a couple of Google meetups. That's what they're using it for just some different classes. But yeah, it's, I think, I don't remember who told me. It might have been Peter that mentioned it. He's like, we're going to look back on this in 20 years. And you ask us what it was like, and it's like, well, gosh, it was just life changing and all these things, right? We couldn't go out, we couldn't do anything. Then you ask our kids, and they're going to be, well, we stayed at home, we played games, we got to eat, dinner together. Like, there's a positive to it, but it's, yeah, it's very, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, man. Oh, another attack I've seen too. So we've seen increased phishing attacks, increased attacks against these checks that are coming, increased attacks against Zoom, increased attacks against authentication, increased attacks against another thing I've seen are these what do you call them? Snake oil type things, like FRSecures, So some new thing, and click here to buy it, and you buy it, and you're never going to get the product, but I've seen those too.
Yeah. It's scary. So
Kicking somebody when they're down too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also think too, just the idea, like from what we're seeing with the increase in incidents right now, not all of those incidents originated from, these COVID type focused events we're talking about. I think that a lot of our attackers know now that like our infrastructure teams are no longer sitting on site, right? And so there's an increased likelihood that they're going to have, a break in their backup chain, or they're going to have something else going on at those times. They're not going to be as diligent about their checks as they normally would when they're in the office. And so I think the opportunity to attack right now is much higher, thinking about that. And then also thinking about how that the time to respond is going to be a little higher as well now. So you've got physical backups, maybe they're doing air gapping through physical devices. And if you do ransom them, then they're going to have to send someone on site, maybe get permission to go into the office, go through all those hoops before they can even start the recovery. And so it's like the perfect storm for an attacker right now, because we're restricted based on our access. Fear is high, and there's so many, targets available. And I think that we're going to see that the rate of occurrence for incidents throughout this is certainly going to continue to increase. There's just too many factors at play right now.
Well, I think you and I talked about this or a little bit last week. Is I think we might see it because people are going to start looking a little bit more, right? It may take longer, but they're going to see those in breaches that occurred 3, 6, 9 months ago. They're going to start finding those things as they make these changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have a second wave in another 3, 6, 9 months of all the breaches that are occurring because of this, right? So it's kind of, I think it's just going to blow up.
I think it's like a little bit of a yin and yang there, both sides at play, because you're going to have those people who are finding those things that occurred months ago, but then you're also going to see the flip side of that, where maybe your security operations center is dispersed now, or your security staff is dispersed, and they're not as diligent, or maybe they have restrictions when they're at home and being able to see some of the logs or some of the events they were looking at regularly before. And we also have to take in a factor here too, that we're already starting to see network pressure and utilization increase on home networks. That's going to continue to go up. A lot of our services that we use, like Zoom, we know Zoom was having problems before. And so, those other X factors at play there. If you got 3 kids at home and they're all in school, you're working from home, your wife's working from home, and your entire neighborhood's doing that. And we start to see this pressure on infrastructure, and then even your ability to respond, monitor, and do your job fully remotely gets more challenging. And so it's, just another vulnerability that attackers will be able to exploit.
Yeah. So, I think one of the things that we're trying to do is, how can we help, right? And so we're doing our incident response risk registration. I don't know if this has been, maybe I'm breaking news here. I don't know. We're going to be waiving the fee for that for a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where, but you want to talk about that, Oscar? What exactly is our risk registration? What does that get someone?
Yeah, sure. So essentially that's our onboarding process. We're going to go through this risk registration if you have an incident, but unfortunately it's going to be at the time of your incident. So what this does is give us an opportunity before an incident occurs to be able to get some information from you, catalog that information, set up a phone call so we can all get on the phone and talk through the information we've received, make sure we understand things like, what are you using for a firewall? What's your email security? And we'll ask you a couple checks about how you're securing your public access today. We'll get your key contacts. We'll know who your backup guy is, who your network engineer is, who your developers are, and so on. And so the idea is we can go through this exercise today. We can get all the legal stuff out of the way and have contracts signed and all that. And so essentially, if you have an incident, we're not going to have to go through that and waste 3 or 4 hours later, right? You'll call us and we'll be ready to engage because we've already got that. We already know who you are. We're already a partner, and we can go to quick action for you. So yeah, it's just a way to kind of speed up that response time if you do have an incident, and to make sure that we can be there to help you as quickly as possible.
Yeah, a couple of, side benefits is, right, at that point, you technically have an incident response firm on retainer. So, you could see some, savings from an insurance standpoint. You've got this existing relationship. So there's some other maybe hopeful benefits for you as well, other than just speeding up the process.
Yep, for sure. And we always do a little bit of coaching in those too. So if we see things that are obvious gaps, right, it's like we'll give you some free advice during that exercise to say, going back to multi-factor, you should think about that. Or, if we're looking at
upload your IR plan. IR plan? You should get one of those.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we're just going to see this increase. So, it's one of the things like Security Studio is doing, the S2 team. We're doing our risk registration. We're waiving the fees for that for now. I'll kind of skip ahead, doing that daily insanity check-in, just to, hey, let's get together and just talk, right? Give people a safe place to talk about it. I don't know, Evan, you want to talk about kind of where that came from? And
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it was towards the end of last week, and I think it's part of my own sanity too, right? I'm used to seeing people checking in, having discussions, um, and I'm just assuming that I'm not the only one, kind of struggles with that. I like to be transparent. I like to share kind of the things I'm going through so that if other people are going through the same things, that they feel more comfortable, getting that off their chest and, talking about it. So just wanted to start this daily insanity check-in just to, once every morning at 9 o'clock Central, whoever wants to can, join in. And we just check in, right? We just spend a half hour. Sometimes we might go a little bit over, but no longer than 60 minutes for sure. And people can jump in, and if you got to leave, 5 minutes in, then leave 5 minutes in. But at least you get a chance to see other people. And most people turn on their video and we just talk about whatever, right? We have no agenda.
Yeah, it's been all
Been
over.
helpful for me. What's that?
I said the discussion has been all over the place, and it's
Yeah.
nice. I think for me, I actually didn't even realize you were doing it over the weekend until
I didn't either. I didn't join.
Yeah, well, that's been part of my thing is I turned off. I sort of like what Oscar was saying. I kind of unplugged over the weekend, and then I turned on. I was like, oh, oops, but.
I did the same thing, man. So I don't know if anybody joined over the weekend.
We'll find out.
They just had a discussion without us. I don't know.
But it's it's nice. It's that almost like that office like small talk, right? Like just banter and those little things that I think I'm realizing. Even as an introvert, and I enjoy doing some things, but yeah, you get an energy from that close group, and it's not there, right? So it's almost kind of a nice place for that, type of discussion.
Absolutely, man. And we got, we have rules for the daily insanity check-in, right? It's basically play nice. You know what I mean? We're not there to share a bunch of political opinions and, crap like that. We're there to support each other. And I've learned, I've already just last week. So we just did the last week, right? That was the first week. And I've already met new people that I've never met before, got to know them a little bit. I never would have done it. I mean, I never would have gotten to know them if we hadn't done this thing. I learned about ducks. I mean, you were there on Friday,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we got Suzanne. She's a farm girl and she loved to share about ducks, man. When she heard I was getting chickens, she's like, you got to get ducks.
Was it Dutch Harlequins or something?
Yeah. Yeah. But did you just see her perk up though when she got her chance to talk about that? So yeah, that makes me feel good, man.
I'm bummed I'm not going to be able to make it today. I have another meeting at 9 because I have a great story about why our windows in the house were open for about 8 hours yesterday when it was 40 degrees and drizzly. I pulled out some a pork roast that apparently had gone bad before I froze it. Didn't realize it. Defrosted it, opened it up, and
ouch!
I was like, I almost threw up. It was so bad. It was only open for about 4 or 5 minutes, and just the entire house. I was like, oh God.
You have to share that with the group on Tuesday, man.
Yeah, it was so bad.
But I do want to, the daily insanity check-in is for anybody, right?
Yep.
It's not just for FRSecure people or Security Studio people. It's for anybody. And if you want to know more about it, go to my blog, evanfrancine.com. Look under, show notes for episode 73, and you'll see, the two places you can find to get in on this.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump back on the notes just because I do want to talk about the physical security piece. You mentioned Evan, you're going into the office every day, checking the windows, making sure, everything's going on. How many, that'd be an interesting question. Maybe we should post that on Twitter, is how many people have somebody that is going in and checking it, and that is a, named responsibility, like defined. I'm going to guess not many.
Well, that's another thing, when we talk about, we talked about all these different incidents. We've seen increases in all these incidents. We're also seeing an increase in physical security incidents, right? Attackers, criminals, local criminals know that people aren't in the office, right? You look at on a Monday or a Tuesday, you look at the parking lot and there's no cars there, right? So if I'm going to break into an office on a Sunday, it may not be noticed for weeks, if I don't have proper security things, alarm system, camera surveillance, somebody physically going to the office maybe once a week.
And it's little things too. Like we all closed, everybody that has the window or the meeting rooms, close the blinds, right?
Yep.
It just, even if it's just an out of sight, out of mind, why open up that temptation? If you see monitors or computers, just close them and it's not readily visible.
Right. Yeah, and in our small town, I mentioned yesterday that my wife and I went for a walk in our small town, and security people are weird, right? I mean, we just think different. So I'm not checking doors physically, but I'm really looking at all these small businesses, right? There's small retail shops, there's small restaurants and things like that in our small town. But maybe it's good for anybody who's listening, one, to do the same kind of thing, get out and walk around and just be cognizant of, maybe some physical security things. If you notice a window that's open or a window that's broken or a door that's propped open or a lock that's been jimmied, whatever, I'm sure they would appreciate it too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it's crazy the difference in thought process that is having to happen. I think the last 2 weeks have been that transition of the 2 weeks ago is how do we get everyone to work remotely. Last week was everyone who's now working remotely trying to figure out, like, how do I work remotely? And I think it's probably going to go another week or two that for getting people settled into that routine. And I mean that's a 3-4 week window for, are you checking these things, what's going to happen, because there's just so much, I don't want to say chaos, but right, unsettled, disruption, right? And
Disarray.
Disarray, yeah. And we know attackers feed on that, right? When's the best time to launch an attack? When people are distracted, when they're not paying attention to these fundamentals, because hey, we got to make the business work, we got to figure out how to do this. So yeah, I think there's a lot of there's gonna be a lot of concern here over the next couple months as these changes happen and we identify these attacks. I mean, I saw one, there was a article that said Chubb got ransomware by Maze.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, and they're one of the biggest cybersecurity insurance companies.
Right. Yeah. And we have contacts over there, and we sent an email asking, hey, what's up? You guys all right? Anything, we can do, because we don't charge people for stuff every time we do anything, right? And
right.
It's funny, we got the response back, and this is somebody we know, right? We got a response back, basically a copy and paste from the press release. So they've all been instructed, don't share anything.
I will say that's fantastic though, right?
Yep.
That's what you want if you're going through this, is you've identified it, you've communicated, hey, here's what you can tell people, or if somebody asks, here's what to say.
Right.
But I will say, I'll give them credit for doing that. You don't see that very often.
You got to control the message. I mean, that's one of the things you see over and over again, in incident response, where, you're doing all the tactical stuff, trying to get your hands around it, trying to get containment, and then eventually eradication and all that other stuff. But don't ever lose track of controlling that message, right? You get an opportunity to craft the message the way you want to craft it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that can oftentimes be make or break on whether you're going to get sued, what the public's going to do, what your customers are going to do. Yeah. So they did. Yeah, I agree. They did a great job. I love when I saw that response back, I was like, all right, sweet. That's how you do it. We'll talk about this more as friends, maybe once this thing subsides.
So we have a second guest here.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
There he is. My son just came in. He loves you, Oscar. Every time we're on a call and he hears you on the speakerphone, he has to come in and say hi.
It always makes my day.
That's right. That's cool. It's good to see you.
Cracks me up.
Hey,
Yeah.
so one thing you were talking about our free stuff that may be good to mention too is Evan's ransomware readiness tool that we have for free as well. I think that's something folks should be looking at for sure right now. And I did, talking about incidents too, and we've seen an interesting one here recently where it appeared it was going to be a ransomware event, right? Frameworks are in place, looked like they were trying to stage to encrypt, but instead of encrypting the data, they just deleted all the data and left a ransom note for the deleted data. And so we're starting to see those ransomware attacks evolve right now, because you think about it, the likelihood of identification and deleting a disk is lower than encrypting a disk, because you're not going to see those resources start churning, right? And it's going to be instant. It's not going to take hours to do. And so that's just something I think I would like all of our listeners to be aware of, is that some of the identifiers we've thought about before for ransomware events, like CPU utilization, right, disks filling up and so on, like may not be applicable as ransomware attackers continue to evolve those. So do the ransomware readiness, make sure you got good backups, and make sure they're air gapped.
Yeah, that's a good point. So on FRSecure.com, we have a COVID-19 page that has a bunch of the different resources, links to all the webcasts and things that we've been doing. I'm gonna send Brandon, our marketing guy, a message right now to make sure he puts that out there. I mean, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and which, by the way, I got to give Brandon some kudos. I read that blog last week and did a fantastic job. So everyone should definitely take 10 minutes and read that post.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Yeah, he really is.
Dude, I'll tell you, it's fantastic for me, because we'll sit down, or now it's remote, but sit for like 15, 20 minutes and just talk. And then he puts it into, easy to read. And then it just sends it back like, hey, what do you think? And it's usually like, 15 minutes of talking through it, and then, 15 minutes of just some little tweaks. Whereas if I had to sit down and write it, it would take me hours, just because it's not my thing.
Yeah, I was incredibly impressed with this article, because you and I were kicking some ideas with him in email, right? And I seen our bulleted list of ideas. I'm like, that's a great list of ideas. And then I read his article, and it's like, holy crap, man. You did a fantastic job in taking all those points and just making them understandable and relatable to people, where I would have struggled with that, or maybe you would have struggled with that too.
Yeah. Which one? Where is that one? Is that under the blog?
I think so. I just have the direct link from Brandon, but I'm sure we can get that and share it with the podcast.
Data security amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. I have to go back and look at that. So hang on. I've totally lost my train of thought there. All right. So I went out to our page, and that reminded me. Tomorrow, John Harmon and I are doing a webinar with
Lockton.
So unexpected cyber risks stemming from COVID-19. So it'll be that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be great, man. I might tune into that if I'm still here.
It's at 1 p.m. Central. You can go to FRSecure.com, and then if you click, there's a banner at the top for COVID-19 security resources. It's one of the first ones. It's the webcast, so you can go there. I think from what we're planning, it's going to be real short slides from us, just kind of hey, here's all the things that we are getting asked. Those high level ones. Don't do split tunneling. those type of things. But I think it's the majority of this is, if we'll see what happens, it's gonna be Q&A. And they're, from what I've heard, it's gonna pretty high attendance. So
That should be a lot of fun then, for sure.
yeah, yeah, put us on the spot. Let's see what happens. Evan's gonna start asking. He's gonna join under some pseudonym and just start asking like really hard questions. I'll be like, wait
Wait a second.
a minute.
Evan, don't troll. Come on.
You sound like that guy.
Like just certain words. He's gonna be like, I'm like, hang on.
Right.
No, but that'll be good. That's with Locked In has their executive vice president of global cyber and technology practices, and the senior VP of financial lines claims practice leader and global cyber wording and claims leader.
Just call him Bill Beck, man. We know him. He came to came to one of our Hacks and Hops. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one you, Oscar, you guys kind of went back and forth a little bit there.
Yeah, I remember Bill telling us about that.
Oscar's going to join now too, and he's going to troll.
He's gonna troll Bill.
Yeah, let me find this link real quick.
So would you say by paying, you're supporting the
And I've met Anthony D'Agostino.
Okay.
He's good, man. It was fun to meet. We had him down in where are they at? Kansas City.
Okay. I'm excited to do it. I think it's going to be really good. I had 2 speaking events that I was supposed to do, the NDSU's Cybersecurity Summit and Secure 360, both got canceled. I did get a thing from Secure 360. They are doing some online stuff. So virtual conferences. So I may do my presentation.
Yeah. I quit doing online.
You what?
I quit doing online.
You quit doing online?
Yeah. Everybody's doing it, man. There's nothing unique about it. Just kidding.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, like I said, we've got a bunch of stuff out there on the website. The daily insanity check-ins are great. Absolutely should join them if you can. It's not. I mean, we're there to answer questions if people have them, but it's just talking. Right?
Yeah.
Let's keep our sanity a little bit here.
Yeah, and come and go, man. I nobody takes any offense if you're not there 3-4 days and you pop in one day and whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say I'm a little bummed I'm missing it because it is fun to just chat with everyone.
Yeah. Well, you'll be there tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Cool.
So, all right. So real quick, we did make an announcement last week about our CISSP mentor program. We are still going to do it. So that's awesome. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, the changes, we're not doing the in-person portion. So, we'll see how Evan and I are able to stay awake for 2 hours without, an actual class in front of us.
Yeah, crystal meth, man. Oh wait, no. Sorry.
Speed.
Yeah.
Lots of caffeine. But
that's what I meant.
As of Monday, the 23rd, we had over 1,000 registered students, which is, that's just crazy.
I remember the first class, man. We did it in 2010. We had 6 students, and everybody thought I was crazy, right? Because we didn't have really any revenue. Everybody thought, you're doing this for free. You're not going to charge people. And it's like, no, man. I mean, if our commitment is to fix the broken industry, and people tell us that we have a talent shortage issue, and that people, can't afford training, well, then we're going to do this thing, right? And to see it kind of grow to what it's become today with over 1,000 students, and I'm not tooting my own horn or tooting our horn. But I got to tell you, the good feeling you get in your heart, the blessings you get from giving, and and the people you get to meet. I mean, it's just been an incredible experience. Hopefully we have the technical infrastructure. I don't know if we're doing, we're doing it through GoToMeeting, right?
Yeah, it's like it's going to be onto YouTube somehow. I don't know.
Can we support 1,100 students? I don't know. We're going to find out.
I mean, technically we're not. It's
Right.
we're using. Yeah, I was thinking, so the first one I did with you was in 17. So April of 17. We had under 100 people.
Yeah.
And then 18 was about 150. And then last year was 350.
Yeah.
And now we're over 1,000. It's so great. I can't tell you, how many messages and emails have we gotten from somebody who's passed, and like, it totally makes it worthwhile to go through that.
Yeah. When people got the announcement, last week, I got a couple of emails. One was from somebody who said, I'm so grateful that you're still doing this because I wouldn't have been able to afford it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it warms your heart,
Yeah, usually what, $3,000 to $5,000 to do this?
Something like that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. So yeah,
I think the fact
but
that you guys have had it running for 10 years now is a testament to how much people care about it, and just how positive of an impact the service can have on our community. So kudos for 10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And it's also been cool. Like, I think it took this long to grow this big because I think for the first 9 years, maybe the first 8 years, people thought, no way. What's the catch? People don't get, like, so many people have effed up the word free, because they, it's a bait and switch kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to see that people finally believe us, maybe, that it is really free.
Yep.
There's no catch.
Is it the free as in beer, right? Isn't that the
Mm-hmm.
kind of the thing?
Yep.
It is. Hey, and what's great is those connections we make too, and we learn things, and the questions that we get. I mean, I can't tell you. There's been a bunch where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm coming up on 29, I think, years in this industry, and I learn new stuff every day, man. I mean, as soon as I learn something new and feel like I got it,
Yeah.
20 new things emerge or something, it's crazy.
Well, yeah, I think that's why we all kind of got in. That's why I got into IT and then moved to security. Is I can't do the same thing day by day. That routine, just I can't do it. Right? I need that challenge. I need to keep learning. That's what stimulates me. And so, yeah, if you stop staying on top of things and just gonna like rest, you're gonna get passed by real fast.
Right. Yeah, and I think even more so on your team, Oscar, with technical services, new things, new words, new acronyms, like every day. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, we're constantly, continually learning. And the way I like to look at it is it's one of those things where to be good, like you said, you have to always keep your ear to the ground and try to learn. But more importantly, it's do you enjoy being a lifelong pupil? Because if you're going to be on the technical side of information security, you're going to be a lifelong pupil. And I think you'll see a lot of us in this side really do just enjoy learning, and we enjoy finding new things and breaking new things apart and identifying new exploits and really, figuring out how they work so that we can go use that and apply that knowledge to help other people stop it. For me personally, that's one of my favorite parts about the job is getting to continually be a lifelong pupil and always learn new things.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, the good ones in IT and then security aren't those ones that just sit back. They're always pushing themselves, and it kind of weeds them out, like natural selection, as it were.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's a fine line there too. You can almost go like overboard, like meaning like it's easy to get wrapped up in the matrix, if you will. and really cause some internal stress on your brain. Like for me, it's it's like constantly solving a puzzle. A lot of these times when we're working incidents, we're trying to put this puzzle together to paint a picture, and sometimes we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, and so we try to find the pieces around it to determine what that missing piece actually is and what it looks like, and recreate that puzzle. And so that's just kind of a rudimentary way of like explaining how challenging it can be sometimes, and it's incredibly easy sometimes to just dive in too deep to where you're behind your screen for 20 hours and then you realize that you haven't had supper, didn't have lunch, you've only got up to go to the bathroom a couple times, and you're not making any progress anymore. So you kind of got to step away, like we were talking about before. I think that's why it's so important to give yourself time to just unplug and pull yourself away from the stresses of whatever you're studying at that time, and the news and everything. And for me, it's a lot of that just getting outside, feeling the fresh air, leaving technology behind for an evening, and then a lot of times tomorrow I'll come back in and I've solved what I've worked on the previous day for 8 hours just because my brain had a chance to reboot.
Yeah. Well, and I think you left out the important part. You don't always know what that puzzle looks like. You kind of know it's going to be square-ish, rectangle, maybe.
Yeah, there's no picture on a box for this puzzle. To figure it out yourself.
But you bring up another really good point, going back to incident response real quick, and then we can move on. But I see that a lot of people make mistakes because they assume things. They assume that they already know what the puzzle looks like. And so then that kind of clouds them from going where the facts lead you. So, an incident response is so important to let the facts lead you to what the puzzle looks like, right?
Yeah. And I think we all, if we're honest, when we come into things, that'll be oftentimes we'll get called into an incident, go through a triage, and in that initial conversation, be like, I know what's going on here. I've seen this before. But we always have to be open. Like you said, that may not be the case. And then, not all the time, but I'd say, a quarter of the time we'll get into these incidents and it's a completely new angle on something we thought we knew before. And so we have to scrap that previous knowledge and that tribal knowledge we had and start all over and start, putting this puzzle together, like Brad said, without a picture to base it on, but going where the facts lead you and letting that be the ultimate driver.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Evan.
No, I say good advice. Really good.
Yeah, it's funny how many times you're like, oh, I've seen this. But not that. What is that? Wait a minute. But yeah, it's easy too to, like you said, just especially now working remote. Like I mentioned it last week, I realized I wasn't eating well, and I was getting the kids a lunch and having whatever they had, a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and it'd be like 7 o'clock, and that's all I ate for the day. Right. It's like, no wonder I'm feeling a little bit worn down. And
I've been talking to a lot of our peers, like, who aren't used to that, working from home. And that's like the two pieces of advice I give to everyone. I've been doing this for a really long time, is give yourself a break. Like every day, make sure that you get up away from your desk, you go for a walk, you just get away from the desk for, a short period of time. And the other thing is that make sure you eat. It's really easy to get wrapped up in your work. Like set yourself a time to have lunch and eat that lunch every day. Those are so important to just keeping our mental health in check, because it's incredibly easy to get overwhelmed in your work and not have, if you don't set those boundaries for yourself, it's really tough to keep that balance that we really work hard to achieve.
It's funny. I've worked remotely and that hasn't been an issue for me, but I think the difference now is the kids are home. So I'm constantly kind of like having to go handle kid stuff as a parent. So I'm like, all right, I got to get this done. I'm so it's almost like I'm overcompensating for that additional distraction.
Right.
It's so easy to just to not realize it until you're like, hey, it's 4 o'clock and I'm gonna fall asleep, and my dogs just came down.
When I've always there are three things, like it's like a three-legged stool. Like my overall well-being, it's physical, mental, and spiritual, right? And if any one of those is kind of off, I can feel it, and so keeping those three things kind of in balance for me has been different. The first week, I'm a pretty spiritual guy, and I know like the first week I found it hard to pray. I found it hard to clear my mind and just think about things like that. But now, things seem to settle. Now the three-legged stool doesn't seem so lopsided, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that first week of kind of settling into things was overwhelming for everyone. If you want to even if it's not in the forefront of your mind, right, consciously or subconsciously, I think it caused a lot of stress for even people who are rational thinkers, right? Just because we're overwhelmed with news, media, everywhere you turn, the conversations appears. It's just this continual thing. And I know for me specifically, it's not like I was worried about my health or my well-being or my family. I feel confident we're going to be okay and we'll do the right things and get through this. But it's just more so that just overwhelming volume of information that's pouring in around this, and your brain naturally is going to get out of sync there. And so we always have to kind of be rational, calm, think through this. And I think now we're probably all getting into a better pattern where some of that stress is being alleviated and we're starting to feel a little more normalized in this new society as we exist in, for the next few weeks, few months, I don't know, whatever it is, but it's going to be normalized.
Yeah. I think realistically, I think it's going to be kind of the start of the next school year before we really get back to some sense of what we would have called normal before. So,
I just hope that it doesn't impact football season. I lost my college basketball tournament. This is usually my favorite holiday of the year, which is March Madness. That got canceled. And now I'm looking ahead at football. Like, man, I need live sports. I know that.
What's funny is it's the distraction, right? It's not that sports is going to, heal us or make things better. It's a distraction from all the other stuff.
Yeah.
What's cool is I don't know if other teams are doing it, maybe they are, but I know Washington Capitals, I'm a huge hockey fan, and they're doing digital simulations of their games on the game night, and they're broadcasting it. So, it's an hour instead of the, 2 or 3 hours for a normal game, but it's a break. It gives you a chance to kind of reset.
I seen, there was a guy on Reddit who, when the college basketball tournament got canceled, he's still doing this. I guess him and some other people got an Xbox, and the last year they made like the NCAA basketball game. I don't know what it was, like 2K8 or something like that. And they took one of these simulated brackets, and he's been playing out every game in the tournament, letting the simulator run it. They post them live and have live game comments and stuff like that, kind of the same thing you were talking about. So it's just kind of fun seeing I don't know, people do good things, right? We focus a lot on the bad. And I think there are some people out there like this guy just want to make sure everybody gets a little bit of basketball and they get to feel a little bit of March Madness. And so they're putting in this effort to just try to help people feel good. And I do think, as much as we see the flip side of the negative, right, and the attacks and security incidents rising, I do think I'm seeing a little bit difference in a lot of people. We're starting to care about each other a little bit more, or just see each other as humans, and kind of put down the political stuff, put down all that, and let's just try to get through this together, and seeing that sense of community grow, which is a positive thing.
Yeah. If you don't change after going through this, I'll be disappointed. Right? Just in general, how do you not change your thinking, change for the better? So.
Yeah, I think we have a huge opportunity as just people in general to see something positive come out of this. It's going to be hard times. We should all grow.
Yeah, reset and make it right. All right. Well, great discussion. Wrapping up, no news. There's so much going on. So we didn't have any news stories. But mention Cola. Ryan, how many times do we want to mispronounce his name on purpose? I told him I was going to do that. He wrapped up.
Ryan Cloutier.
Cloutier. So shout out to Ryan. You wrapped up the second episode of the K-12 cybersecurity podcast. So if you're looking for another podcast to listen to, go ahead and listen. He's been co-hosted, a bunch of times when one of us is out. So, and then Evan promised a shout out to Olga.
See if you can say it right.
Hugendorn.
It works for me.
I apologize.
Start Siva. So yeah, Olga. Olga's awesome, and so I just want to give her a shout out. I promised I would. She got her a copy of my book and put it on LinkedIn, and she's a regular listener, and so I think
Well,
we
I
should.
apologize for mutilating her last name.
Well,
Or if I got it right, then yay.
I would have done the same thing, man. But I think we should start doing this regularly. Start giving people shout outs, and so shout out to Olga. Hope she's listening. You're awesome.
I'll mention this. We offered the kind of the shoot us an email if you want to talk and kind of do the 10 or 15 minute, interview type of thing if you're looking for work. And I don't think I've seen hardly anything come in.
No, we kind of stopped that, and especially now with the COVID thing, I don't even know what the job market looks like right now, man.
Yeah, but I want more interaction. So yeah, let's do it. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Plenty going on, lots to do. Everybody try to stay sane. Thank you for listening. Just, 3 guys here today that really do care. Hoping everybody stays healthy and sane. Love hearing from you. If you've got something to say, email us unsecurity@protonmail.com. The daily insanity check-in, please join if you want. If you'd rather do Twitter, I'm at Brad Nye, and Evan is at Evan Francine. Don't forget to check out at Studio Security and at FRSecure for more content. And let us know how we can help. Oscar, how about you? I know you stay off the grid.
Yeah, you can't find me, but thanks for having me on today.
If you have a question for Oscar, email us at unsecurity@protonmail.
Yeah, if you want to talk to me, send an email.
Cool.
All right, that's it. Talk to everyone again next week.
All right.
Thank you.